Justin Patterson. Just want to give you a rundown on how I made this a lot easier over the years on making cane trail. It used to be the old-fashioned way, which still kind of is. I just made changes and upgrades to make it easier on me. I plan to make this a one-man job that still works involved. Can't get out of the work no matter what. But I can make it a whole lot easier on me, or very easy on people. I'll give you a rundown on what I've invented, what I've done over the past years, and what I've thought of that helps a lot. My tractor, right here, I have a PTO adapter piece that I machined the drive shaft, and the PTO I welded onto a drive shaft. This is a Dodge rear end. I capped this, took the axle out of that side, welded a cap. This is welded positive traction. This is a axle with I machined the end to put a sprocket on it, welded it. Welded all this on a large sprocket to fit the cane mill. I welded it not to the cane mill, but while it was on it, so it could be perfectly positioned. And this is mounted solid to the cane mill. The chain adjustment comes from this gap right here in the bolts. The weight of the cane mill keeps the chain tight. This is a large beam. It's concreted 3 places, about almost 6 foot deep. It does not move. As far as the cane mill, the drums are 8 threads per inch. Now, the one set of drums is right-handed and the other is left-handed. I bought the cane mill at a junkyard, remachined it, rebuilt it, but I took the lead bushings out. I put brass bushing inserts in steel collars that I built. It's all round, and it never has to be adjusted once you adjust it the first time. You do need to consider the gear ratio for the rear end so that you don't turn the mill any faster than what you see here, because the cane will bust up in pieces. You could actually bust the mill. You could cause a lot of damage if you turn it too fast. You can see the bushing in there. You can see the bushings up here. And my adjustments is just all thread. This is all thread with nuts. I rebuilt the entire cane mill. This is rubber covers I put to keep the water and juice out of the bearings. And when I sandblasted it, I zinced it with expensive zinc primer. It's steel etching zinc. And then I just put a primer on top of that. It's never rusted, never faded, never wore off. It's mounted on upside down railroad iron. Pretty stable. That's welded directly to the beams. Took a black drum where the cap goes. I weld silicone my pipe in. It filters through this screen. It actually builds up before it goes into the pipe, so that way the juice can settle out. And you can build the stand anyhow you want for the drum. Chews come out. It's always good to hang a chain up here, run the chain under to something that whenever your chews get high, you just hook the chain back over to itself in a slide hook and drag the chews away all at once. Now the shack, if you do it this way, needs to be down a hill. At least from this spot, it probably needs to be 6 or 8 foot drop, depending on the distance. Comes from the mill, comes down the pipe into the shed. Now the reason I did this is so we don't have to duck poles, get hit in the head by a pole, and wear out mules, because when I first started we used 2 mules. They got tired. When they got too old, we started using a lawnmower or a tractor, and then when we didn't have that, we had used a 4-wheeler. That worked okay. So whenever I built this at my place, I started with that. The first piece I bought was a cane mill. Then I built everything else accordingly. I built the shack. It's all out of second and third hand material. It's nothing spectacular. I built it with a chainsaw and a piece of a tape measure. Piping comes in the wall. It used to come into a drum that sat right here, but you still had to dip it and haul it to the pan. So I eliminated that. I actually shot a hole through the wall with my 12 gauge, extended a pipe all the way to the pan. Once the juice reaches this high right here at this corner, I'll start a fire up and start cooking. Of course, my wood, I just go to the sawmill and get the cut off end pieces stacked on either side. This wood, it's enough for one boiling. That's about it. That's all I'm gonna do today. I ran water up here to my mill. Gotta have water. The sink's good. The furnace, as you can see, it's large fire brick inside. It's well built. And the metal plate back here, which you can't really see, it needs to be braced. This is my stack. It's a 18-inch by, I guess, 15 foot high. And where it gets close to the building right here, it's good to take grading and put long ways like that so that the heat doesn't cook the wood. I ran into that problem. It actually caught the building on fire right there. So I had to pull the stack away, put two pieces. I put 10 against the wood and 10 against the pipe, and air flows through the grating and keeps everything cool. No more issues. Everything here is concreted in. Whenever it gets hot, all this will expand and I may have to fill in cracks with dirt and mud. I just had the pan redone because it leaks in the corners where it flexes, so it shouldn't leak this time. My skimmer, I have a skimmer there. This is where we dump the skimmings. My door, my prop, my skimmer bucket on the other side. Now this is my slant table. If you can see it under here, which is hard to see. This is like a gas valve in this corner of the pan. I got it notched out in the middle right here so it fits down in here. All this is angle iron that the pan sits in. I built a table slanted for a reason. So when we pick the pan up, the valve goes here and you pour your syrup right here. You put your jars on a table and you just pour it up in jars once you pour it into a large pitcher. All the juice runs down to this corner. It's always good to build you a ditch coming through so everything you wash can drain right out. And well, that's about it. This is my shack. I ran power, got plug-ins every so often. Kind of breezy in here today. This is my pan right here that I put under here whenever I'm pouring syrup so I don't spill syrup all over and get sticky tracked everywhere. I have a pitcher at the house, a plastic tea pitcher, works good. It won't melt. It doesn't get too hot to melt it. But anyway, I used to have a shed over my mill so it didn't rain on it. You could actually make syrup in the rain. But as you can see, that tree right there fell on it and broke it. Now my way to make this a one-man job, you see the 4 loops on the pan. That's for these 2 poles to go through for 4 people to pick up and tote the pan to the table. My plan is to put stands and beams and trolleys up here. They're gonna be one on each side, and the beams are going to run this way. So that way I can put 2 hoists on the pan, lift it up with winches, and let it trolley over and ease it down on the slanted table. Using 2 winches so I can drop the front first and ease it down like I want it. That way it will only require 1 person to complete this job. And that's my ideas of making this much easier. I'm Justin Patterson, and I just wanted to share my ideas with those who may be interested. Thank you.